Assalamu alaikum ji. Welcome back to another episode of Kazi. My guest today was the brilliant Asad Ahmed. We get to speaking about the genesis of the music industry in Pakistan, about why he feels at home in Karachi despite having multiple opportunities to leave, and about what he holds is the engine to any successful music career. Enjoy. Three, two, one. Asad Ahmed. How are you doing, Asad bhai?
Good, Kazi. Good to be here.
Oh, dude, fantastic to have you. From the little I've spoken to you before the thing. But we were talking about how you prefer Coke Zero over everything else.
Absolutely.
Why?
It just tastes better.
It just tastes better.
I mean,
It's better than everything else. You're not, but kya? So I've had a few people on, I'm not going to name them obviously, that are sponsored by whatever the competitor of Coke is.
Right.
They're not allowed to say that. They're not even allowed to consume it on the podcast.
Well, the funny thing is I've been sponsored by both. Pepsi and Coke.
All right.
So, and I can say Pepsi and Coke because I worked with them.
Yeah.
So it doesn't bother me.
No.
There's something known as a non-endorsement contract, which
Right.
people don't seem to understand. So I've always had non-endorsement contracts.
Yeah, but people are mostly not savvy about most of this stuff, no? And I suppose that's what happens when you come into fame without understanding the price of it.
Sure. The music business can eat you up and spit you out if you don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had to over the years educate myself as the music industry's evolved from vinyl, tape, CD, and now the digital world.
Yeah, which is. I mean, I would love for you to give me a step by step on how you did it, but. Thoda sa pehle, this was another very interesting conversation. We were talking about how I have now recently developed a fascination with smoking.
Right.
At the tender age of 29.
Right.
I told you I moved back from Canada a little while ago. And you said you also moved back, not around this age, but O-levels ke waqt, aap jo hai,
Yes.
you were in Dubai and then you came. Tell me about that. How was that?
Well, Dubai, I was in Dubai. I shifted to Dubai in 1977.
Okay.
I was 6 years old.
Okay.
And very impressionable at that age, of course. I was very happy to be there. I went to school there. Dubai was definitely not what it is now. It was a very tiny sort of place. It's still tiny, but it's now built up. So it wasn't as built up as it was. And my dad and my mom, fortunately for me, were liberal people.
Okay.
And I grew up in a house full of music, art. My mother's an artist.
Oh, wow.
And there was always music and art all the time.
All right.
And we were encouraged as children to go see museums and take in culture, which I see a lot of people don't do. I mean, if you're gonna go to New York and just say I want to go to 42nd Street. No, there's a lot more to New York than that.
Sure. Taking the streets and all those things. Was expression generally also supported? Okay, it's one thing for you to allow your children, encourage your children to consume art, but then you have no control over how they're going to express themselves.
Sure. I think as parents, my parents, the only issue that they had was, is the kid going to be able to make a living?
It's a good concern.
Yeah, I think every parent feels the same. It's something that I was also unsure about because I didn't know enough about the music business when I got into it. And I got into the music business when I came back to Pakistan.
You moved back in 85, you said?
I moved back in 85 and...
Fun times.
Well, yeah, it was we were under the rule of General Ziaul Haq at the time, and music was not something which was common on television. There was one state-run channel and one state-run radio station.
Yep.
Radio Pakistan and PTV. And that was it. And there was absolutely no music on PTV. So I was here's a kid coming from Dubai who's grown up listening to Van Halen and Rush and Kiss and AC/DC and all of these things, and I come back to Pakistan and nothing. And I think the most I could get people to talk about music was maybe Michael Jackson and Madonna at the time.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
And that was it. So when I got into this industry, there was no industry.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
It was just a bunch of people. It was us high school kids who, just put a band together and started playing cover tunes, songs of the time, Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, and whatever was top 40 at the time.
It's also so easy to take for granted the kind of access we have now. उस ज़माने में Spotify, YouTube, इनका नामो निशान नहीं था.
नहीं.
You could not, you could not import culture or music as easily as you can now. Where if I am illiterate about a certain thing that you want to talk about, you can just be like, yeah, check it up on. You didn't have that anymore,
Just Google it.
Yeah, just Google it, dude. And even उस बात को भी मेरे ख्याल में 15 साल होने वाले हैं. YouTube, I think, is 16 years old now. Or something like that.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah. So I can't. I was born in 1992. I can't imagine what that must have been like for you. कि यार कैसे बताऊँ आपको कि आप क्या miss कर रहे हो? There's no way of telling them,
Well, there were simpler times and safer times.
Sure.
Karachi was a very safe city back then. You didn't have quite the amount of street crime and stuff that you have now. I remember I used to have a bike and a cycle, and I used to cycle all the way to my friend's place and back. And I was living on 26th Street in Phase 5.
Oh wow!
And I would see maybe that's become like a main road now.
Oh yeah.
I'd see maybe while I was cycling, I'd see maybe 10 cars tops all the way from my place, Phase 5, to Phase 2 to my friend's place. I would cycle.
Did you ever fear for your safety? Or
Never,
no?
never. There was no issue. That all started after 1990, I would say. Yeah.
From there, and we will, inshallah, I promise we will get into the music stuff. But from there, witnessing, I'm sure all that you've witnessed, you said you've been in Karachi throughout it all.
Yeah.
Witnessing all that you witnessed, what informs your decision to stay here?
Yeah, this is home. As much as I enjoy going on tour to the US or Canada or Europe or Arabia or South Africa or Thailand or Singapore or Japan, I've been everywhere. And I continue to go. It's not home, and it never will be home. There's something about Pakistan which always draws me back. It's family, it's home, it's a familiarity, and it's when I'm on tour, when we do a US tour, for example, I'm gone for like a month.
Okay.
And in a month, I'll do maybe 10 shows. And then after that, most people would be like, yeah, man, let's stay on, let's party, let's do this. I am dying to come back home.
Yeah.
Because I want to come back and I want to have my koftas and my keema aloo and my roti and all of that, man. Creature comfort.
Right. That's super interesting because when I was asked, and I obviously have not experienced half the things that you've experienced, right? But a similar answer. But it's not so much about what else is out there, necessarily, because there's wonders out there.
Absolutely.
But there's something about here. And, we're from here.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep coming back to here.
Absolutely.
There's people, Canada mein, I would interact with people who were like, 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, who had it made. I'm talking about a 5-car garage. I'm talking about a Mustang or a Porsche, whatever you want to think of, right?
Right.
Just unhappy. And I was like, yeah, and being the naive person that I am probably, like, I would ask them, I was like, what do you have to be unhappy about, man? He's like, maybe you'll understand when you get to my age. Maybe, but you probably won't if you're asking me, because they're just not happy. I don't understand.
Well, I'll tell you, more money means more happiness.
Right.
It's far better to be rich than poor.
Yeah.
And that's no slight on anything.
No.
When was the last time you saw a rich man go and rob a bank?
I didn't.
It just doesn't happen.
You call them bankers. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
I'm sorry.
So it's, you can be miserable with all the money that you've got, And most of those people are people who all their lives probably didn't get to do what they want.
Sure.
Follow your passion. And if you're passionate about something, sooner or later, you will get there, man.
Yeah.
For me, it was never about riches and houses and Mustangs and Ferraris and stuff. Although, it doesn't suck.
No, it doesn't suck.
But it wasn't about that for me. For me, when I started this journey, it was about getting the girl who was sitting next to me in class to go out with me.
Sure.
And when that happened, I was like, okay, what's next? So the next thing was all of these guys who are making money off us are making, I look at them and I see that they're driving nice cars, living in fancy houses. Where's my money? So then I set about educating myself about the music business.
Sure. Okay.
How do things work? How do royalties get earned? How can you protect yourself during a performance?
What's your age when you're doing all this?
I was maybe 19 when I started educating myself about all of this.
Okay, so early on, 19 is not super,
I
old
realized
or-
very early on
Yeah.
because in this business, it's you're dealing with sharks.
You are.
And when they see someone who's coming up, all the sharks circle and come at you, and they want a piece of the pie. So you have to determine how much of that pie is going to go to what.
Okay. But at 19,
Yeah.
you knew you were good.
Well, at 19, I was 19 years old when I started playing bass with Junoon, which was my first professional gig. And that was the first Junoon album. And I used to get paid a massive sum of 5,000 rupees a gig, I think, which in 1991 was the equivalent of today, I would say, I'd say about 35,000 rupees.
Which is still not a...
Which is still not a lot, but then your rupee had not devalued as much.
Okay, so you could buy more with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
The dollar at the time was, I believe it was 23 rupees.
I'm good with 5,000 rupees from 1991. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
comfortable with that. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Per gig, by the way.
Per gig, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that that was my first professional thing. Although before that, I had started Pakistan's first rock band, which was the Barbarians, and we came at a time when Ziaul Haq had just
Exploded.
yes, he had been removed, and a democratic government had come in.
Okay.
And things started getting better. PTV opened up and let music be aired on television, on state television. And you had the Vital Signs, and you had Nazia and Zohaib, and the Vital Signs figure into my story later on as well. And then you had the Barbarians, which was the rock band. So we were the bad boys, Vital Signs were the good boys, Nazia and Zohaib were like the ABBA thing. And it was great. It was I could see the seeds of an industry right there. It was about to explode. And in the 90s, it did. You had Junoon come out in 91. You had Awaz later on in 92. And these are all acts that had massive success in terms of numbers, in terms of sponsorships, and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And touring around the world. But anyway, coming back to my
Your chronology.
yeah. So Junoon was the first proper paid gig, and during that time, I met these two guys in Islamabad, Haroon and Fakhir.
Just two guys.
Just two guys.
Just two people.
They were nobodies at that time.
Right. Okay.
And-
I can imagine. Yeah.
But they were really nice guys, and I chatted with them backstage at a Junoon show. We were in Islamabad playing at the Marriott, and they said, "Look, we've got this band, and We're recording our album with Rohel Hayat at the time, who's Coke Studio producer.
Yeah, now he's a bigger deal.
Yeah. And he was in the Vital Signs at the time. So I had become friendly with them, with the Vital Signs over a couple of years. And so I called up Rohel. I said, what's the deal with these guys? He's like, well, they are poised to be the next big thing. So if you're looking to make a move, this is the time to do it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they were recording at Rohel's in Pindi. He used to live in Pindi at the time. So I flew up to Pindi, did the album sessions, and then I also happened to do the Vital Signs third album sessions. I did 2 songs on that. And the next thing you know, that winter, this is now 92, winter of 92, Pepsi comes knocking and says, we want to sponsor you guys. So my first, sort of interaction with corporate sponsorship.
At what age? Come on, at what age?
92, I would have been 21.
That's a young age, man, to be dealing with corporations like that. I mean, Pepsi is still a corporation. भले कोई भी उनको represent कर रहा हो यहाँ पे.
Absolutely.
Then now, same thing. There's still a corporation. It still goes all the way up, you know. And how did you take it?
I was keen, like I said, to learn about the business. But being 21, we were also kids at the time, and you tend to educate yourself, but you also have that whole thing about, oh man, the ride has just begun.
Yeah.
The roller coaster is about to take off.
Yeah.
You better hold on tight and try not to blink so that you can enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
So we definitely enjoyed the ride.
Sure. Alhamdulillah.
We were sponsored by Pepsi for I think 4 or 5 years.
अच्छा ये वो अच्छे मतलब अभी भी पेप्सी अच्छी है मैं ऐसा नहीं बोल रहा हूँ लेकिन ये वो वाला ज़माना जब शाहिद अफरीदी was clean shaven. It's around that time ना.
This is the time when Imran Khan won the World Cup.
Won the World Cup, yeah, and Pepsi had that वो banner वाला logo. You guys, yeah, man.
Yeah.
So I was born then, लेकिन मैं ठीक है. I remember that a little bit.
So it was a great time because as we were getting more popular and becoming bigger, the music industry also started becoming bigger, and we started seeing a lot of new acts coming out, solo acts, bands, all sorts of stuff. And of course, then there was this big change from tape to CD, which was a huge change at the time. History lesson is that there was one company in Pakistan, a record company called EMI.
Yeah.
And they're still around.
Yeah.
So EMI at the time was affiliated with EMI UK.
Which is
a big company, which has now been swallowed by Universal Music, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
We can talk about that in another podcast.
We'll do a podcast for that.
So EMI signed up Junoon. EMI signed up Vital Signs, as in released all of this. And they also released the first Awaz album.
Wow.
So that was it was like we were on a multinational label.
And they had capital and everything.
I used to go to London and go to the Virgin Mega Store and find the Vital Signs album in under V in rock and pop.
That's right.
So you were actually released worldwide and you were available in all the record stores abroad.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool thing,
Yeah.
I remember the first time we were in London and my parents were there, and I took them to the record store and I pulled out the album and I bought it for them and I said, here you go. And my dad was like, he was so happy. He was like, wow, okay, now I get it. Now I know that this kid can do it himself.
And this cannot be overstated because this is before the proliferation of the digital medias, right? Again,
Absolutely.
you've said this before.
Yeah.
This is a big deal to have that kind of reach, which you could only get from EMI.
Sure.
But you were making a point about history because, you were talking about cassettes to CDs.
Right. So EMI had in site area in Karachi where Siemens is and a whole bunch of factories are. Their whole factory was stationed there, and they had a vinyl factory and a tape factory. So they manufactured everything themselves.
Okay.
There was no outsourcing, nothing. All the covers were done in-house. Everything was done in-house.
Is it weird that is an alien concept to me? A multinational was producing tangible goods in Karachi and then distribute it. That doesn't happen anymore, does it?
And another funny thing,
Yeah.
all of your Beatles, Masters, Iron Maiden, and all of that stuff, everything that EMI released, the masters were lying in Pakistan as well. So you could actually, in the 80s, buy licensed Beatles albums on tape and vinyl in Pakistan.
That's unheard of, man.
Right.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
It is. It's beautiful. Yeah, of course. Sorry. Yeah. So they had their factory.
Yeah, they had the factory, and what happened over a period of time is that the world shifted from vinyl and tape to CD.
Yeah.
And the world shifted in 1980, and it caught up by 1985 across the world.
Sorry.
In Pakistan, we shifted to that medium, I think, in 1995.
10 years later.
10 years later. Okay. And EMI did not have a CD manufacturing plant.
Oh, and they resisted.
And Pakistan had no CD manufacturing plant. So what happened was, for the first time in history, the company starts outsourcing. So all of these CDs were being manufactured abroad until someone had the bright idea, let's make a CD manufacturing plant.
Yeah.
And that happened to be some Tom, Dick and Harry who had been a pirater, basically.
And no appreciation for music.
No.
Yeah.
He was a pirater, and he put up this manufacturing plant, and then everybody started going to him to have their CDs manufactured. So that's what started the CD thing. And once CDs started, we saw that the big cities, Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, started taking CDs more seriously, whereas the smaller cities were still tape driven.
Because they still only had cassette players, no?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And then the other thing was that the cars that were coming out at the time started shifting from tape players to CD players.
Yeah.
So if you bought a tape and you bought a new car, where are you going to listen to it?
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
So because it was only a CD, then there was that multi-CD changer that you had in cars.
You had the 12 ones in the Lexuses.
Yeah.
Sure. 12 CD changer, which is a big deal.
So yeah. So that that whole shift was great, and it was great for us because in terms of royalty and money, things changed. CDs were more expensive than tape.
Yeah.
Your royalties got bigger.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you were available worldwide on CD as well as tape. And then slowly that phased out, and we got into the digital realm, which is MP3 and streaming and wave files and all of that.
How has that been for you?
It's been a change. You see, the music industry has worldwide has to be kicking themselves in the butt because record company executives around the world let this happen. Record company executives around the world let people steal your music by offering file sharing. There was legislation, a bill was passed in the US Senate for this to happen. And record companies did nothing about it. So when I hear a lot of artists complaining, that, oh man, we get pennies on the dollar now. And well, that's because your record company did not stand up for anything. They let it happen. They figured, it's just going to be a fad. And they were so wrong.
They couldn't have been more wrong.
Because by the time the 2000s came along, it was over.
Yeah.
It started with torrents and file sharing, people sending, like I could email you the new Adele album, for example. And it was...
And artists were
free.
hemorrhaging, right? Artists were bleeding money. I mean, and the thing is, it's really complicated even to this day. NFTs ka zamana aa gaya, crypto ka zamana aa gaya, but even now, it's so difficult to explain to someone that a song...
I just sold my NFT for like $6,000.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. We need to get that. Then we need to talk about that as well. But it's so difficult to explain to people that song, which is not really tangible,
Yeah.
right? You know, you work on a song, a genuine album even, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the album isn't actually what it manifests as. The album isn't a CD or a USB or any of those. The album is, it's in the air. It's non-tangible, right?
Absolutely.
But you still own it. It's
Yeah.
still yours. I can't, you know, so there is no, it's because it doesn't exist in space. हमें ये समझ नहीं आता है कि I can still ride roughshod over your rights. Just because, you know, that, like, for instance, calling someone a paki,
Right.
right? It's not a physical thing. उसने मुझे मारा नहीं है, लेकिन
Right.
मुझे तकलीफ हुई है ना. Similarly,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bad analogy, but
It's a derogatory term.
yeah,
But
it's a derogatory term.
Yeah.
Similarly, you still own it. I don't have right to it until I pay you something.
Absolutely.
You know, and people just, but I suppose even record labels themselves, वही जो आपने बोला कि more often than not what happens is, and I'm kind of generalizing, but in Pakistan this does happen where Seths will jump into the picture. And Seths, मैं किसी को बुरा नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, but Seths have money. That does not mean that they understand what the thing is, the nature of it, right?
No.
But they'll jump in and they'll be like, "Isko becho," you know, which is cool, but you don't have appreciation for the thing. And
I think you're absolutely right. I think what happened over a period of time is people stopped paying for music like they would. And by people, I mean a newer generation. I come from an older generation which, to some extent, to this day, still buys the music.
Yeah.
But they buy it from, again, there's no physical format. They'll buy it on Tidal. They'll buy it on iTunes.
Yeah.
They'll buy it on, HD tracks, which is the highest fidelity that you can get.
really,
And you pay a premium price, but you get the best sound. So there are a lot of people who are, also like that. But by and large, the streaming business gives you pennies on the dollar. So, for example, if I have 10,000 streams of a song, let's say 10,000 streams of a song, to make minimum wage in the US, I need to have 150,000 streams.
is that true for everyone?
Yes, that's true for everyone.
Across, like-
even the biggest bands in the world.
So the biggest band, that's what I was going to say, biggest bands in the world still have to do that?
Yes.
Oh man.
So it's not the streaming business. I mean I get it because that's where we are now. There's not much that somebody like me can do about it.
No.
You have to change your sort of approach to how you're marketing your music.
Sure.
Radio plays a big part. Social media marketing plays a big part.
Live performances.
And okay, so now with record sales in the doldrums, what are you doing? So you're releasing music now just to be able to go out and play live.
That's it.
So your main cash cow is live shows.
Yes.
And your music that you're releasing is just catalog building. So what happens with catalog building is, as you keep building your catalog, you bring in more people who are vested in your new release.
Yeah.
And then they start discovering, okay, this guy has this album and that album and so on and so forth. And you slowly build up a following.
That's it.
Online.
That's it. Yeah.
You're still getting pennies on the dollar, but if you can engage your fans enough, they will actually go out and buy your music. And this sounds like a sound bite, but it's not. You have to sort of how do I put it you have to give them something that they can relate to. So whether it's through lyrics or whether it's through life experience, something that they can relate to, something that they've been through. I do instrumental music now.
Yep.
And I only do that because I was in the US about 10 years ago on tour, and I had a meeting with a very famous producer who had done some work with Guns N' Roses. And he gave me 40 minutes of his time. So I went, I was like, hey, this is who I am and this is what I want to do. And at the time, I wanted to branch out and do lyric-driven, English-oriented music, and
For here.
for the world.
Okay, for the world. Okay, yeah.
He turned around to me and he said to me, don't take this the wrong way. Honestly, nobody in the United States, white people, are going to buy that.
Okay.
Because there is a certain prejudice in the music industry where your frontman must be white or African American.
Okay. And needs to look a certain way also?
And needs to look a certain way and all of that. The guitar player can be Pakistani, Indian or whatever, but the front man has to be a Gora.
Yeah.
And what he said to me was shocking, because I was like, I've grown up abroad and I've never faced racism that way. And he's like, you'll be surprised. Yeah, and so he said, your best bet is to change your name from Asad Ahmed to some Tom Brady or whatever,
Okay.
And I said, that's not going to happen, because I am proud to be who I am.
Yeah.
I'm a proud Pakistani, and that's who I am. And I'm a Muslim.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he turned around and he said, I get it. I'm not like those people. I get it.
Yeah.
Your best bet is to not do vocal music. You're a guitar player. Do instrumental music and appeal to a broader audience, which may not judge you on your skin color, your name, and your religion.
Jeez,
and he was absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
Today, all the people who buy my music are either white or African American.
Yeah.
Out of my streams, 90% is the rest of the world, 10% is Pakistan.
Holy man.
So he was absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. But I mean, see, and that's why people like you need to be, don't need to be, right? You don't need to do anything. You're good. But I think we have to have you talk to the kids, because again, you said something very powerful a little bit ago, where you were like, okay, you just need to have people relate to something that you're doing, right? In whatever way.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's a principle that's carried you throughout your,
Sure.
that must have been true even when you would stand to make money from sales. That must always have been true.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
But it's truer now than ever before, because sales se paise nahi aate artists
No,
ke.
not anymore.
And a lot of artists who might be good, let's take someone. Who's your favorite new age artist?
Current artist?
Yeah, full pop culture question.
I like a lot of the work that Abdullah Siddiqui is doing.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Now, Abdullah Siddiqui, more than ever, more than Vital Signs or Junoon, needs to understand that he needs to be big. His
Right.
music will not get him paid like the way it could have gotten him paid 30 years ago.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And so more than ever, he needs to build resonance. He needs to build, he needs to become a product himself. That's kind of dirty that I say it like that.
Yeah, but that's how it is. I mean, I've always looked at. I tell a lot of young people that you have to build the brand.
Yeah.
So if Asad Ahmed was just Asad Ahmed, the guitar player from Karachi, Pakistan, that doesn't cut it. Asad Ahmed has to be somebody who has history, a catalog, a reference that when you walk into, like, if I can walk into an office anywhere in the world and get my work done,
Yeah.
that is only because I've built myself up accordingly.
Yes.
I can walk into Spotify in New York City and have a meeting and walk out and be very satisfied with what we've done. I can walk into Live Nation, which is the largest touring company in the world, in Los Angeles, and I can have a meeting with them.
Yeah.
Why? Because I built myself up. 25 years ago, I couldn't have done that.
No. Okay, but here's the problem. Here's another problem that comes up is now you're talking about pursuing something that's real.
Yes.
Not so एक bifurcation होती है, एक division होता है between character ethic versus personality ethic.
Right.
You're talking about building character.
Absolutely.
You're talking about building something
a persona.
A persona,
a catalog,
yes.
Someone who a record company, if you approach them, they can literally Google you and be like, okay, we know who this guy is.
So it's something, right?
Yeah.
Now the problem is because of this generation's need for instant gratification, they'll look at you, they'll be like, okay, denim shirt, jeans, black boots.
Yeah.
That's what I need to be a good musician. I mean, that's again a crude example, but maybe I don't know guitar companies, but maybe okay, let me try. Ibanez or Marshall or some Marshall का amp होता है शायद. तो
Right.
अब जो है असद अहमद ये वाला Marshall का amp इस्तेमाल करता है. I need that to beat this, right? Because that's instant. Because that's a shortcut.
Right.
So, but what you're saying is invest sweat equity. You're saying invest years, your time.
Yes. And invest in yourself.
Invest in yourself.
And your tools.
Yeah.
I don't like to talk about this, but I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, I realized that as a guitar player, there's certain brands which come with a hefty, tag.
Okay.
Price wise.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why they do, because
course,
it's
yeah.
the best wood, it's the best electronics, it's the best of the best.
Yeah.
And when you have those tools, it inspires you to make better music, and technically, it sounds better.
Mm-hmm.
So over the years, I've invested thousands and thousands, and maybe about $60,000-$70,000 on my guitar collection.
Sahi.
So some people have car collections. I've got a guitar collection which I don't think anybody in this country does have.
But you have to be worthy of it.
Yes, yeah. So I collected over the years.
Yeah, and but you know how to, like, you could, again, like I said, कोई सेठ आएगा बोलेगा $60,000 क्या होता है?
क्या होता है?
खरीद लिया,
खरीद
right?
लिया,
But you need to have been, like,
Sure.
you need to have, like, your body needs to respond to it a certain way.
Sure. So each of them have their own character, and they have their own sound. So I bought them to get that particular sound. And this is what I tell a lot of people when they say to me, oh, we want to sound like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I'm like, hold on. The Red Hot Chili Peppers. If you want to sound like that guitar player, do you have a Marshall amplifier? Do you have a Fender Strat? Do you have this? Do you have that? Mm-hmm. You're not going to sound like the guy. Mm-hmm. You have to have the tools to get there.
Yeah.
And that's where the compromise starts over here. And that's unfortunate, because we don't, our rupee has devalued so much that it's out of reach for people. And in Pakistan, you also, like in Canada, you've got Long and McQuaid.
Yes.
Right? So you can buy stuff on credit there. Mm-hmm. So you get a 12-month credit where you want $1,000 guitar, you're paying $100 a month. Yeah. And it's no big deal.
No, you can even get second-hand stuff that's really good there, pristine there, because of the way
Kijiji.
Yeah, Kijiji. Maintenance. You have stores that will clean that stuff up for you.
Yeah.
अच्छा वहाँ पे मुनासिब निज़ाम होता है. Do you do a lot of now I want to draw a line here, but do you do a lot of counseling and / consulting for younger musicians here?
Yeah, I was employed by Pepsi Cola not too long ago for a show called Pepsi Battle of the Bands.
Yes.
As a mentor to some of the acts that were there, that were participating.
Okay.
And it was it's a really joyful job, I have to tell you, because I see young people and I learn about their aspirations and what they think, and looking at the current music industry through their eyes is very refreshing.
Yeah.
And my job was to make sure that their song arrangements, the way they interact as a band on stage, and then beyond that, that was just my job. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, I have very personal ties with all of them.
Sure,
whoever
wonderful.
I've mentored.
Yeah.
And some of them have gone on to do good things. Bayan, Oj, great acts.
Yeah.
They are wonderful people who just need guidance, and that's it.
That's it.
The talent is all there.
Yeah.
Pakistan has amazing musicians.
Yeah.
We need a vehicle whereby they can express themselves, and it doesn't necessarily have to be this.
It could be anything.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
So for me, if I can speak to kids who want to get into music
Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
what would I tell them?
What would you tell them?
Don't do it if you're only in it for the short term, because you're not going to make any money and you're going to get very disheartened. If you're in it for the long run, go for it. You're going to have to burn a lot of bridges to get there. It's not easy. And in today's day and age, though, out of 10 guys who are going to go for it, maybe one,
And all 10 of them must be talented.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It's now it's a matter of the right time, right place, how much money is behind your social media marketing. We come from a time, we're lucky, I come from a time where I had built up a certain catalog. These guys have no catalog.
No.
So they have to just go run straight out of the gate.
Yeah.
And that's very difficult to do here in today's day and age, because you're competing with so many other people. So yeah, it's not going to be easy for a lot of new kids out there.
No.
But having said that, I'm very happy with what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
In
Okay, so
Pakistan.
you're still happy. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Alhamdulillah. That's good.
I just hope that a lot of them survive and don't give up. That's my only, sort of reservation. I mean, I tell them stories. I used to tell these guys stories about how I started. Yeah, I started with 500 rupees and a plate of tikkas, playing at the Metropole in Karachi.
Yeah.
At a restaurant called The Village.
I know that.
I used to get 500 rupees a week, and all you can eat tikka, and I'd be playing, Happy Birthday for anybody whose birthday it was. So that's how I started. I started with nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you build it up. But I had I don't know, I call it balls. I like to call it. I had the balls to sort of go through that whole that grind, and it was a grind.
Sure,
it wasn't easy.
No.
At times I didn't have enough money to eat at the end of the month. But I wasn't complaining. I would never complain.
See, doesn't that speak to the kind of person you are, though?
Yeah,
everyone can't make it.
It's just determination.
Sure.
It's sheer willpower.
Yeah.
And just going through all the crap you have to go through, and taking it in your stride and saying, yeah, look, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I just have to get through a few more hurdles to get there.
Well, I suppose society exacts that toll on you for being exceptional, no? Like, and now you can stand. I mean, you're not saying you're exceptional. I'm saying you're exceptional. You're not saying, I understand that. But you can now stand in a room full of people and be like, I'm Asad Ahmed, right?
Sure.
And that means something.
Sure.
But that means something to ye muashra, there's a societal tax. Why do you get to say that? Why can't I say that? Because there's
Everybody can be Asad Ahmed, man. Everybody can be Asad Ahmed. It's all about hard work. It's about putting in the time to educate yourself about the industry that you're getting into. It's about willpower, not taking no for an answer, and not caring about fashion and fads, because what's in today is out tomorrow. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they fade.
You need to think about the bigger picture and the longer road.
Yeah.
And your music has to be timeless, or at least some of it has to be timeless, so that people can go back. I have fans now who are in their 40s and 50s, and I've also got fans who are in their teens. So it's a great demographic, and I learn from them. they tell me what sucks and what doesn't.
Yeah, they're honest even today.
It is brutal.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have it any other way, because when I make a mistake,
Yeah.
and when someone says, oh, that track, shouldn't have been on the album, I listen. Because that person is speaking from the heart. He or she has a vested interest in your brand.
Yeah.
They've actually paid for it or streamed it or in some way or the other paid for it, and they like it and they own it. So I listen to that person. I will always listen to that person.
I think in a consumer who is willing to put up money for your art versus someone who's going to get it for free or whatever.
Sure.
I think ये एक बहुत वाज़े फ़र्क होता है कि they then are invested in your endeavor. And that's the same with, I think, more or less with people who buy tickets to a concert is now.
Absolutely.
Now they're comedy wale just they're invested in you doing it well. Because I'm now whatever little equity I have in this. That's
which is why I never gave I never gave a crap about critics and reviews and stuff, because when a critic reviews your show or reviews your album, he or she has nothing to do with you.
No.
They got the album for free. They got the ticket for free.
Yeah.
Their judgment is impaired simply by the fact that they have no vested interest in your brand. They are there doing a job. They're going to get paid 5,000 rupees at the end of the month for that particular article, if they're lucky. And that's it. Yeah. So people ask me, over the years, critics have slammed you and some have liked you and some have... I was like, well, if you take all the critics who didn't like me or didn't support me or whatever, well, I built my house on bad reviews. And I'm very happy because I'm laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
And some of those guys are dead.
Sure. Yeah. Speaking of that, now the other thing that we did speak about before, because ye music ka jo topic hai, we could talk about this for hours. With no end. You could educate me. Lekin, you did also speak. You want another one?
No, I'm good.
Okay, yeah.
I'm good.
But you did speak about also having a very interesting, or not, I mean, it's not interesting. It's very correct. The kind of philosophy you take towards your physicality, like your body. To have a long career as a performing, touring musician, the one thing you can't do is destroy your body.
Absolutely.
And do you matlab, apne zamane mein to, I'm sure you must have crazy stories about people.
I have a lot of crazy stories. I've been through a lot. I've done a lot.
Yeah.
When I got to the age of, I'd say 33, 34, I realized... if I'm going to be in this for the long run, which I am, I'm going to have to start taking care of myself.
Yeah.
And I'm 51 today, and I don't have any issues, no underlying issues, no heart problems, no nothing. I walk every day, I jog every day, I go swimming, I do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's all cardio. So I stay in shape, and I don't like... I don't interact with people who are negative that way. I look at it as negativity.
Sure.
If you're gonna put crap in your body, don't complain about I can't walk anymore. My heart has become weak, or my well, it's all gonna happen.
Yeah.
Or my kidneys failing, or... Well, then don't do all that stuff.
Consequences are a thing.
Absolutely.
So one of the other interesting things that you've mentioned, obviously, is everything that you're doing is low impact, right? So you're not... वो वाली बात होती है ना कि I think you have to also put your ego aside. And because a lot of this does come from ego, when people won't listen to you, they'll abuse their body through substances, drinking, drugs, whatever.
Sure.
And they'll always be like, I have it under control. But dude, there's a hole, in your explanation, you're hurting. And you need help,
Absolutely.
And I think that's something I would like to speak to you about as well, how you've obviously dealt with the fame and the repute, but then also mental health stuff, because how could it not affect you?
You know, when I was younger, it absolutely did. When you're in your 20s, you tend to think you're invincible.
Oh yeah, bulletproof.
And you get away with a lot of stuff actually.
Fair enough.
You know, the stuff that I was doing in my 20s, I look at kids today who think that they're doing a lot of stuff. They weren't doing a fraction of what I was doing when I was in my 20s.
You were being horrible to your body.
I was doing everything that I read about in all the rock magazines that, you know, someone like Jimi Hendrix would be doing, or Mick Jagger and Keith Richards would be doing, or Robert Plant and Jimmy Page would be doing, and I did all of it.
Yeah.
And that's the ride that you go through. That's life. Life is an education, and you tend to, in your younger years, you tend to be very impressionable.
Sure.
You tend to want to live the rock star life, and you should, as long as you know that you can get out of it unscathed and not hurt anybody in the process.
That's it.
That's very, very important. Be human first, and then everything else.
So again, you know, you said around 35 is when you were like, okay, let's get a handle on this.
Absolutely,
Without
yeah.
going into any graphic detail.
Yeah.
Was there a particular incident, or was it just a lead up? Did you see something, someone you cared about?
I think I had been partying very hard one night, and I got up the next day and we had a show. And this was with my band Caravan, which was 99. I had Caravan from 97 till 2011, which was also a rock band.
Awesome.
And I was doing stuff on the side as well, but this was also another project. So it was a Caravan show. And I got up in the morning and I was feeling awful. And I got to sound check and I just couldn't play. I could play, but I was just playing really badly and I was getting really upset with myself.
Yeah.
You know, what the hell is this? Why did you, do what you did the night before and now you're paying the price for it? And it hurts me because the guy who's paying 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees to come see you, he should be getting 110% Asad Ahmed, not 80%, not 60%, not 50%.
Yeah.
He doesn't want impaired Asad Ahmed,
Or Asad Ahmed with an excuse, yaar, kal raat thoda.
No. Yaar, I'm not feeling well. And I've done shows with 104 degrees temperature, so there's no excuse for putting on a bad show. No excuse whatsoever. So I felt really bad that day. I went back home and I just made a decision that this is it.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah. Because also, I mean, you will not, ek to physical attacks, obviously, that this stuff takes on you, but also you're not going to be here in the long run if you keep putting on subpar shows.
Absolutely.
It's not their problem.
Absolutely.
I
It's
mean,
not.
You
It's
want
not.
them to care, but really it's not their problem.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yaar, what's up?
Yeah. No way. Again, if you're a young artist, don't do stuff which is going to hurt your performance.
That's it.
Just don't.
That's it.
Yeah.
So where does the music industry has had like several falls, several rises? Okay, so your artists up there now, this music industry has been through several falls and several dips and several valleys and then mountains and all those things. Where do you think? Abhi recently Coke Studio did, I think they're doing good work, right? As far as I'm concerned, making good music.
Yeah.
People are like, why didn't they take X artists? Well, at the end of the day, they're a business concern. Profit maximization is a thing, right? And some of these people, young stunners, Hassan Rahim, Abda Parveen, Atif Aslam, Farah Shafi, these guys are sure shots.
Sure.
You put them on a label and they'll perform and it'll be good.
Sure.
What would you say to people who are, let me just build up a character for you. Someone who's 29 years old, not making any money. He thinks he's good. People have told him he's good. But abhi tak paise nahi aa rahe. What do you say to someone like that?
Agar paise nahi aa rahe, you're obviously doing something wrong.
Okay. If you're good and paise nahi aa rahe, to?
Yeah.
Huh.
You're doing something wrong. It could be marketing. It could be not the right network of people.
Okay.
It could be a number of things. But I would urge that person to stick with it. If that's what he or she wants to do, do it wholeheartedly. Don't do it half-assed, and just go for it. I mean, just don't, no holds barred. If anything, I've learned over the years to not to preach. But if I'm going to preach, it's going to be about self-empowerment.
Self-empowerment.
So a lot of the songs that we did in Caravan or Caravan for all of you.
I was calling it
Burger
Caravan.
Boys.
I was calling it Caravan all this time.
They were all songs about self-empowerment. Sure. Songs like Aage Hi Aage, and even in Awaz, Watan Kahani and Ae Jawan and Vital Signs, Dil Dil Pakistan, nationalistic but empowering songs.
Yes.
I've forgotten what I was talking about.
I was talking about if someone knows they're talented but is not making headway.
Yeah.
Cannot. 29 years old, 30 years old,
Yeah.
33 years old, family, all this stuff, right? How? Like, do you still tell them to push forward?
Yes, you keep going forward. You no holds barred. Don't listen to advice. People who give you advice may or may not work for you because you are an individual and you need to sort of figure out what works for you. What works for me may not work for other people. Everyone has their own path, but what's unifying in all of this is knowledge and self-empowerment.
That's it.
I think that's common with all of my industry. People who have educated themselves about the business are still around today.
Yes, they are.
The people who did not have vanished, they're gone. And self-empowerment has always been, even in the West, the biggest songs are about self-empowerment.
Yeah. There's no doubt. And evolution is everything. And Abibi, so have you been checking out the rap wave that we're on?
I'm not a big fan.
No.
I get it because I remember the beginning of rap, which was in New York City in the late 70s and early 80s. And it came from the ghetto, and there was Run DMC and a whole bunch of these kind of guys. What I don't like about it is white guys doing rap. It just look. It's an African American thing.
Yeah.
Let it remain an African American thing. Don't be white and be all yo hood.
Yeah.
Because it just does not fly. At least for me, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I feel like slapping that white boy who thinks he's Snoop Dogg.
So cultural appropriation is something that you have a problem with.
Absolutely. It has nothing to do with
Your experiences
with white people or with Desis. Nothing.
Really?
Nothing.
Oh, that's strong.
Zero.
You're going so hard. But there's people that would take that music and kind of make it their own and still put forward a message. Like, for instance, the Youngstars always ever talk about, Karachi and their life going up here and all those things.
I get it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I get
You
it.
understand it?
I get it.
Okay.
But it has, as far as I'm concerned, it's not Pakistan.
No, it's not.
It's not at all Pakistan.
Okay.
No way.
So you draw a hard line when it comes to cultural appropriation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would rather hear Abda Parveen. I'll be very honest.
Okay.
I would rather hear, living in Pakistan, I would rather hear Abda Parveen or Rahat Fateh Ali or a decent Qawwal as opposed to pop or rock music. And I wasn't always like that.
No.
I was the guy who would say, yeah, man, rap, yeah, man, rock, yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
It's with time you learn that these guys will be here today, gone tomorrow. How many of them are going to have a 30-year career? Are you in this for the long run or not?
Right.
That's the question. So the way I look at it, and I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong for their sake.
Okay, yeah.
I don't see any of them having a 30-year career.
That's a very different angle. Yeah, I never think about it like that. Okay, so there's people like Faris and the youngsters.
Faris has been around a long
15
time.
years now, yeah. And the youngsters 10 odd years.
Right.
But you are right in that ये जो मैं 3 लोगों के नाम ले रहा हूँ ना, in terms of being big,
Yeah.
यही है. Like in terms of being
over here, yeah.
Yeah, you know, in Pakistan only.
Yeah,
in only Pakistan.
But Bohemia is the biggest.
Bohemia is the biggest, but financially though,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and I do, and you need to factor that in. These people need to eat and, you know, all those things, right?
Sure.
So marketability wise, I think it's just these teen ya chalo, even if you want to add Bohemia with 4 log. And the rest of them who I have enjoyed rap music and I do enjoy this music. Like you said, I hope they make bank.
Yeah. Look, art is art.
Art is art.
I have my reservations. They are my own.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with me.
But that's that's the beautiful thing about being alive right now.
Sure.
Is we can, you know, you and I could sit here. Technically, I mean, you look the same age as me, but we're generations apart.
Sure.
You know, like there's almost at least 30 years. I mean, when I was born, you were doing tours, right, and all those things.
Yeah.
Among
other things.
Yes, the other things. But we can sit here and agree on a few things. We've agreed on basic categorical imperatives. Yaar, you have to empower yourself. You have to certain principles, fall in love with the art. But then there's things we can disagree on.
Sure.
And that's fantastic.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah, because you know these days क्या हर वक्त ये होता है, लेकिन now because of the polarity that social media provides, you're either a 1 or a 0. But we're human beings, man. It's never like that, you know.
And it's a big world out there now, you know. So it's not just Pakistan. If I want to say anything to the rappers out there today, is कि यार उर्दू में अगर कर रहे हो, you have to understand that it's only Defense and Clifton who are going to be listening to you. If you're going to do rap, do it in English.
Yeah.
And you immediately appeal to a much larger audience. कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है उर्दू में करने की, और वैसे भी ये हमारा वो नहीं है. And I sound like my dad now.
Yeah, you do. You sound
if you had asked me 25 years ago, I would have said, yeah, man, rap.
Yeah.
But I've been through this journey. I've seen people come and go, and fads come, fads go. And I can tell you with all honesty, I do not think that in a country like Pakistan, this form of music is going to have longevity. It's not going to.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes, it'll be popular for a little while it's popular around the world.
Yeah.
But the minute something else comes in, it's gone.
Yeah. So who have you seen with tremendous promise who faded away? You don't have to.
Many.
Yeah. You don't want to
name. I don't want to name them because
that's heartbreaking. Yeah.
I mean, it's heartbreaking for me as well, because there was a lot of people who I really like and I still like to this day, and for whatever reason they didn't make it, or they got to the tip of the iceberg and then the mountain just melted away, and that's because you make mistakes.
Sure.
And you don't educate yourself, and in this business, like I told you earlier, a lot of people have their hands in your pocket.
There it is.
So you have to be very wary about who you sort of get into bed with, and it has to be. It's like any marriage, yeah. You know, if you're gonna get married, you have to hope that it's a long-term thing.
Yeah.
And if you get divorced, you definitely don't want to get back together again because there was something that didn't work. So similarly in the music business, it's the same thing. Yeah, you've got managers, damagers, road manager, roadie, booking agents, all sorts of people who are taking a piece of the pie, and they may or may not have your best interests at heart.
That's what's the problem, right? I mean, paying people, to theek hai na, it's a thing that happens, but then you want them at least to be on your side, and it's especially in today's day and age, it's just so difficult to figure out who's on your side.
Sure,
sure. It's just but I think, Asad bhai, if I this is something I do need to say here. It's refreshing to meet people like you who've been around this industry for so long, who want to foster talent. बहुत सारे आपके अपने colleagues भी जो होंगे, I mean, you have to admit.
The way I look at it
Yeah.
is when I retire, if I choose to retire,
Yeah.
I'm not retiring from the music industry. I'm going to retire from performing,
Yes.
and I'm going to dedicate my life towards nurturing and promoting and recording new talent.
That's beautiful. I think
And
that's fantastic. Yeah.
that's what all of us from my generation should be doing.
Yeah, but they're not. That's what I'm saying.
They're not.
Lots
They're
of
not because somewhere along the way, you as an artist, you may get jaded. The money allure may take you away from what you really should be doing. I think it's everybody's, duty to sort of help the other along, because it's a tiny industry.
Yes.
And if we're not there for each other, there's nobody else that you can rely on.
Nope. No one else will understand.
The suit who's sitting at the office is only interested in selling his or her product.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when you're no longer commercially viable, he or she is going to just throw you on the side.
That's
and
it.
it's happened many times. It's happened with me, and then I came back again, and then it happened again, and then I came back again. So you keep reinventing yourselves again, catalog building, and the long run. It should be the objective. It should not be a short-term thing. I see too many people with short-term objectives. I want to be famous quick. I want to get rich quick. Well, hey, if you get famous quick and you get rich quick, and then all of a sudden you lose it all, you're going to go insane.
Yeah.
It's the journey that's the fun part.
Yeah. Absolutely is. I think I was speaking to someone on the podcast only about NFTs in that context. There are people right now in Pakistan making bank off NFTs, right?
Yeah.
There's 20-year-olds that went in with $1,000, came out with $50,000, right?
Sure.
The problem with that is, again, you've not built up your apparatus to withstand that loss. Because they're so volatile. NFTs or crypto and all those things.
Yeah.
कि ये गिरते भी फिर इसी तरीके से हैं.
Absolutely.
So now, are you someone at 20 years old? Are you someone with the wherewithal, the strength, or the faith, or whatever your dealing apparatus is, right? Let's hope it's not substance abuse, right? Let's hope it's something healthy, right?
Yeah.
Are you developed enough as a person to take that loss? Because you weren't ready for the gain either,
In your 20s, you're not ready for that.
No.
And you can't be, because you haven't experienced life. This life, it's been a wonderful ride.
Alhamdulillah.
It's been a wonderful ride, and I can't complain, but you have to remember that life is a roller coaster. It's not, if it was a flat line, then you're not living.
Nope.
It's up, it's down, it's going round and round, and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And take it all in and learn. Learn from your triumphs, learn from your mistakes, and apply them to your everyday routine.
Yeah.
So you get better at your art, you get better as a human being, and you enjoy everything that life has to give you.
Yep. Just by living, right?
Yeah,
you live first.
Absolutely.
Okay. Before we end the podcast, this is something that's been plaguing me. Pehle bhi aapne bola, you said it's because this is home and that's why I choose to stay here.
Sure.
But again, going through everything that Karachi's been through, you alhamdulillah lived through it all. What's something that stands out? Like, people, lots of people like there's people like who can't leave, right? But there's people who choose to stick around because it's home. What sticks out? Like, what's like, if you could impart a message on me or anyone else who's not seen everything? Okay, I've never seen Karachi peaceful.
Yeah,
like,
I remember a time when it was.
Yeah, my dad says the same thing, right? But I've never seen it.
It was a beautiful city.
Yeah.
It still is. I mean, for me, it still is.
Yeah.
It's filthy now and a lot of other things. Yeah, I think people. I think agar कानून नहीं है ना, if there's no law and order, things deteriorate, and this city and this country really has had so much corruption over the years, and and negligence. Negligence is the biggest thing that this country has had. If you're gonna expect all of us to pay our taxes, at least give everybody infrastructure all over the country. Roads, electricity, water, running water.
Not tanker wala
gas,
pani.
not tanker wala pani. That's a whole other thing that I can get into, which I know about, which is it's a bloody mafia. But then you look at the Punjab. I mean, Lahore is great. It's got great infrastructure. Everything works. There's 24-hour water. Why can't we learn from each other?
Well, I mean, I've heard this, Asad bhai. I've heard people just straight up say to my face, "Yaar, you're jaded." Like, there'll be times when I'll really get down. I'll be like, "Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have come back." Right? There are times when that happens. But people will be like, "Yeah, you have a myopic understanding of Pakistan because you think your experience applies to all parts of the country. It doesn't. Like, just go to Lahore, Islamabad, go to Quetta, go somewhere else."
Anywhere. I mean, look, apart from Sindh, and it breaks my heart because I grew up here. Apart from Sindh, the rest of the country is absolutely fine.
Yeah, they're doing great.
It's great. And you go up north and we've got everything, alhamdulillah. We've got the mountains, we've got the beach here. Why can't Karachi's beaches be an international tourist destination? Why not? It's very easy to do.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's like you have the thing. It's right there.
Yeah. Just clean it up. Put enforce the law. Put fines on people who litter. Build places where people feel safe and comfortable going. Families can go and not be worried about getting ripped off or mugged or there's a lot of stuff and I've seen the decay from the 70s all the way till now. It's afsos hota hai mujhe.
Yeah, but you think it's a lack of responsibility? Because I'll tell this story often. Canada mein, I used to study at the U of T and Dundas is a straight shot to my house. Dundas, if you take Dundas
Street.
Yeah, it's Dundas Street is a huge street. मतलब पहली बात तो वैसे रोड यहाँ में highway इतना बड़ा नहीं है, इतनी बड़ी वो सड़क है, and you can't drive. There's portions where you can drive up to 80 kilometers an hour, but नहीं तो 60 पे. I'd come back at like 2 a.m. From downtown Toronto to Oakville. Right? Oakville ये अच्छा खासा पता नहीं अच्छी खासी मतलब आधे 1 घंटे की drive है without any traffic.
Sure.
And there'd be all these traffic lights. I would not break a single one.
Sure.
If it's red, you stop.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple of things. A, consequences are a thing, right? But B, also you know that if you are caught, अगर नहीं आप पकड़े गए तो वो एक बात है, right?
Yeah.
पकड़े गए, 99% chances are you will be convicted and held accountable. So there will be responsibility.
Absolutely.
There will be consequences.
Absolutely.
Here, I mean, khuda na khasta, the worst of crimes, I mean, there's 80% chance you won't be charged for anything, right? So people are like, why not do it? I think ek masla ye hai ki we expect each other to be good, virtuous people. I think that's nonsense. I think you want to be, consequences are a thing and they should be introduced.
I think the thinking whereby you're sort of thinking, oh, nothing's going to happen to me here and I can get away with everything. That is symptomatic of the problem.
Sure.
That is the heart of everything that's wrong here. Educate yourself, educate your children. Chalo, theek hai, maybe a couple of generations have gone by.
Yeah.
And nothing's happened. But starting today, if everybody sort of mans up and says ki yaar, I will not litter, I will work towards making my city a beautiful city, a better city, a greener city, whatever your issues are. If everybody works towards it, it can happen if you approach the government and say, okay, these are the issues, and they know all the issues. It's not like they don't know the issues. There's always money allotted to Sindh. Where it goes, nobody knows. But that's how it's been since 1990.
But उनको भी देखो ना, my फिर मेरी दलील यही होती है कि ठीक है ना, तो वो हमसे है ना, उनको consequences कौन दिखाएगा? कोई और तो नहीं दिखाएगा ना आके. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, whoever the people in power are in Sindh, right? They keep getting re-elected. So how's that happening? And all of us complain, maybe we're the minority, maybe we're the elite 1-2%, jo bhi hai. But then, let's all work towards figuring out how they keep getting re-elected. Maybe talk to those people who are electing them. Do something.
Politics, yeah. Politics is a dirty game that you and I definitely don't want to be a part of.
Oh, no, we don't have the stomach for it. We don't.
It's something that I know a few people who have been in and out of politics. It doesn't end well.
It does not end well.
But having said that, something has to be done.
Something has to be done at that end. Yeah.
And I'm very apolitical, so I don't. There's no one person that I'm going to say, okay, oh yeah, I support.
He's the answer. Or she's the answer.
This person. No, anybody who's doing a good job gets a pat on the back from me.
Yeah.
Imran's done a couple of good things as well. Mushi did a couple of good things. And that's about it.
That's about it. That's about all. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's a shame.
That's what it is.
That's a shame.
But Asad bhai, this has been wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been great for me.
Thank you for coming on. Okay, so I need to say this on air as well. So I have a friend. He's a great fan of not only your work but of music generally, right? And so he knows who you are, Saifullah Jatoi, and the magnitude of his anger when I said, "Nahi, mujhe nahi pata Asad bhai kaun hai." He's just like, "Get away from me. We're not talking for a week." Because he was like, hey, you should definitely have this person on the podcast. And ye aa bhi jayenge. And I was like, yaar, wo sab to sahi hai. Inshallah aa jayenge, lekin...
Who is this guy?
And so I need to say it on the podcast. This has been absolutely refreshing. And you've been so kind. Because I said to you, I was like, I'm just, because... So...
This was great. I mean, like I told you, I learn from everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I learned from you today?
Allah khair kare, I don't know.
Well, I learned from you that at your age, you have a DIY approach to what you do.
Yeah.
And I wish I had that when I was your age. I didn't know.
That must have been... We didn't even get into, like, what would your life have been had been like if you... Like this kind of attitude to Spotify generation. I mean...
That's a whole other topic.
Whenever you have time next, inshallah.
Maybe we can do that again.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, just think about how soft kids are these days, and then think about how, just you were made of different stuff. And I say that to my dad. I'm like, you shouldn't expect that kind of... We're just not the same thing. We're people, we're human beings, but we're just not built the same way.
Sure.
Agli baar, inshallah. Asad bhai, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Instagram, please. I do that. So Instagram, aapka Instagram is just Asad Ahmed?
Good question.
I will link it.
There's a PR company that does all of that for me. So I'm sorry, folks. I have no clue. I think it's Asad Ahmed official.
Okay. I'll link all of that. Asad Ahmed, Kazi Akbar. Assalamu alaikum.